there's a tendency to go to a virtual reality to try to fix something that's broken. And, for example, where is this scene taking place? I'm hiking on a trail in the mountains, and it's springtime, and things are just beginning to bud, and the fragrance in the air is intoxicating. I can smell the moss and the piney smell, and the air is so fresh, I just feel like I want to breathe it into my lungs. So far, so good, yes? In other words, tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And my boyfriend's with me, and he's usually in a bad mood. And now your visualization has lost its power because you brought reality in and practiced a vibration that's already dominant and messed up your virtual reality so that it's just like reality. In other words, you would not visualize this magnificent new house and then notice the roof is leaking and then bring in a repairman and have him overcharge you and then wrestle him to the ground and get him to bring the price down and then triumphantly announce that you've banged your house into perfection, feeling validated for your struggle. Virtual reality is a place where you get in, feel good, and get out. Get in, feel good, get out. Get in, feel good, get out. It's its only purpose. And if you begin to practice virtual reality, where you get in, feel good, get out, what happens is you begin to set a vibration of good feeling that begins to feel so normal to you that a number of things happen. First, you've practiced this vibration, so it is more your vibration, so law of attraction brings you more things like it, so it just gets easier and easier and easier. The other thing that happens is when you step into a familiar setting or circumstance or thought, which takes you to a different feeling vibration, you're more likely to notice it. The creative process is 3 steps. The first step is you ask. That's easy. You're doing it all the time, whether you know it or not. The second step is easy because it's not your job. Source energy will answer your desire. Step 3 is you must be in the receiving mode, and that's what virtual reality is about. It's about practicing the receiving mode, but it's not about practicing the receiving mode about things that are going wrong, because then you just drag your practiced vibration into virtual reality. Are you getting the sense of this? It's the place where you practice feeling good. It's a place where you go just to feel good. Yesterday, while Jerry and Esther were driving, Esther was driving, and she was practicing some virtual realities. And we'd said to her, set the scene. What time of year is it? What time of day is it? Where are you? How does it feel? What is your mood? What is your response to your environment? And who else is there? And then exchange a few words. So Esther is romping along, just having a wonderful time, going to place after place. And then she got to this point after about an hour of just dabbling with it, where she said, I think I will just choose high points in my life where all I have to do is remember those moments. So she remembered her first moment in Hawaii the first time, and the way she felt. That feeling of anticipation and that feeling of exhilaration and that feeling of wonder and that feeling of amazement at the way the air felt and the way the air smelled. Just that first moment, that first feeling of anticipation. And then we said, get out. In other words, don't drag your bag through the airport. Don't go through the agricultural inspection. Just find that high point, remember it for a moment, smell something, breathe the air in, feel it, and then get out. And then pick another high point and another high point and another high point and another high point until what happens is you deliberately orient yourself into the vibration that is natural to you. You return to the vibration that you expected when you came forth into this environment. It is an attitude of wonder. It is an attitude of excitement. It's an attitude of passion and expectation. And it's an attitude of unlimitedness. It's an attitude of well-being. It's the attitude that is your source. And when you dabble in it only for 30 seconds at a time, what happens is your source is there for 30 seconds. Your source is there for 5 seconds. You're full of yourself for 2 seconds. You're full of yourself for another second. You're full of yourself. And what happens when you deliberately conjure a vibration that makes you full of yourself? When you're not full of yourself, you notice it more. So what happens is you can hardly stand it when you're not there. The virtual reality process is a process where right now I can feel good. Right now I can feel good. And the more you practice it, then the more able you are to, right now, feel the way you choose to feel. Feeling good means everything. It means everything. This morning, we said to Esther, turn on the television. She turned it on, found a cartoon, and they were singing a song about use your imagination and go anywhere you want to go. And we said, now that's more like it. Use your imagination and you can go anywhere you want to go. When Jerry came back to the room, Esther said, it's interesting. We've been hearing this message as children about magic and fantasy and using imagination. Walt Disney understood it. He made it something that he teaches to all of the children. And Esther said, but now it's time for us to begin understanding that it's not just imagination for the sense of having some fanciful moment. It's not just a childhood whimsy just to make a child feel happy in the moment. It is the center of our lives. It's about using our imagination to be happy, not just because it's better to be happy than sad, but because everything hinges upon the way we feel. Everything is about our vibrational countenance. So, here you are, on the leading edge of thought. Not here to save the world. It doesn't need saved. It's doing very well. Not here to fix something that is broken, because it's not your work. And you don't get to decide what's broken for anyone else anyway. You are here as leading edge creators with this magnificent contrasting palette to choose from, giving birth to steady, continual desires with a source that hears you and adores you and answers you. And now your work is just to vibrationally continue, to be vigilant about knowing where you are vibrationally. It should not be a difficult thing to want to feel good, and we don't think it is. We think every one of you wants to feel good. And now we want you to understand that it is not a difficult thing to feel good. It's just a matter of choosing the thoughts that feel good. We want to give you such reason to do it, not because if you don't do it, some terrible thing will happen, but because any moment that you are not joyful, you are not who you are. You are but a shadow of who you are, and so you are not fulfilling your purpose, your desire, your reason for being here. And it isn't that someone else is standing back in a place of disappointment. It's just that it is such a waste for you. It is such a waste to be standing in a moment where you're not allowing yourself to be fresh and alive and alert and clear and sure and happy and unlimited and eager. In other words, this is who you are. You did not say, I will go forth and struggle my way to happiness. You knew it could not be, because even if you could, can you not feel the waste of that? Struggle, 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 struggle. Struggle, 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 struggle. Why not happy, 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 happy? Why not joyful, loving, appreciative, happy, exhilarated, vibrant? Why not be the eternally joyous being that you are? Why not train yourself? It's so easy to do. Train yourself back. There's just one very complicated concept that you have to accept. Just this one really hard thing to understand. Good feels good. That's it. If you can just grasp that very, very seriously difficult to understand concept, that if it feels good, you're aligned with that which is good. And that negative emotion is your indicator that you have departed vibrationally from source temporarily. Departed's too strong, disconnected's too strong, but you have chosen a vibration that is causing you to reverberate in a place where you're slightly off signal, so that you cannot fully align with the power and the clarity and the love and the joy that is you. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we just would not do that. Not for very long. We would practice feeling good with a determined effort on such a daily basis that when we slip from it, we'd know it. We'd know it and we'd say, no big thing, I can choose otherwise. Good. So the word dominant is a word we want you to hook up with here today. What is my dominant vibration? The other word is. So there's this thing I do not want. And I say, I don't want you in my experience. But as I give my attention to this thing that I do not want, I have activated it. Because attention to it activates the vibration of it in me. So I say, I'm going to deactivate you. Can't do it. You can't deactivate something because the whole time you're focused upon this thing you want to deactivate, what are you doing? Activating it. So the only way you can deactivate something is by withdrawing your attention from it, because as long as it's got your attention, it's activated. That's the point of the virtual reality. You activate things that feel good. You activate vibrations that feel good until those are the activated, active, dominant vibrations within you, which makes it less likely that you will activate one of those others, because what becomes dominant within you becomes dominant within you. Now, that's not to say that you don't have some old issues that you've been dragging around that are not activated all the time, but when they come up, you know they've come up. And so often you say, well, I've got this issue. I'm going to wrestle it to the ground and kill it. And we say, no, you're not. You're going to activate it. You're going to make it more alive in your vibration. You're going to give it your attention. You're going to activate it within you. And then what's law of attraction going to do? It's going to help you remember more things just like it. And it's going to bring to you other people that have that same issue activated. And it's going to rendezvous you with magazine articles, television programs. It's going to hook you up with all kinds of things that are like that are already activated. And you're going to have the experience that you do not want, because you cannot deactivate something that you are trying to deactivate, because trying to deactivate it activates it. Nice to know, isn't it? So how do you deactivate this thing you do not want? By activating something else. So if I have sickness that I want to deactivate, should I focus upon the subject of a well body? We wouldn't, because when you focus upon the subject of a well body, you're going to activate your dominant vibration. When you pick up on the subject of my body or my health and the dominant vibration is one of worry and concern, when you try to work on feeling better, you just activate the vibration where it is. So that's why we don't want you to go to Hawaii and work on your body. Because if you go to Hawaii, in other words, in the virtual reality, as you go there, you're on the beach, the sun is shining, you feel wonderful, you're taking a walk, you're going to get fit. Your visualization goes south. Because what you've just done is reactivated the already troublesome vibration. So that's why we say, get in, feel good, get out. Get in, feel good, get out. Get in, feel good, get out. So you string enough of that get in, feel good together, and you feel so good that you have, for a period of time, deactivated whatever it is that's been troubling you, and you begin to get improvement. And then people say, what are you doing? How did you achieve this improvement? And then you think about it, and the improvement begins to wane right away, because your old friends help you activate the very thing that you do not want. So you just keep practicing and practicing and practicing until you're sure-footed. In other words, you get so you can smell it coming from a mile away. You get so you can feel it coming in a conversation. You get so you head things off. You also, as you get in, feel good, get out in your visualizations, you begin to do that with phone calls too. And your meetings with one another become briefer. You get in, you feel good. If the conversation starts taking you someplace you don't want to go, you get out. You become addicted to your source. You become so enlivened with feeling the way that is natural to you that then all that other stuff becomes a non-issue. You don't have to protect yourself from it. You couldn't if you tried. You've just deactivated. It is a non-issue for you. So things that are troubling others and they try to trouble you, they send you pictures in the mail, troubling things about the environment or about animals or about children or about anthrax. In other words, they send you worrisome things, and you don't take them and tear them up in little pieces and set them on fire and activate them. They're a non-issue. They're a non-issue. They don't have anything to do with you. They don't have anything to do with you. They don't fire you up. They don't worry you. They're a non-issue, because the issues that matter to you are so activated. You don't push against anything, because pushing against activates it within you. We're eager to visit with you about anything that is important to you. You'll discover a delicious unfolding. Sometimes somebody else will ask your question. That will be good for you, because you're more likely to hear the answer to your question if you're not asking the question. Why is that? Because when you ask the question, you activate the trauma that is causing you to ask it to begin with. And we want you to realize that you're always asking. You're always asking. The question is, are you asking from a place of letting it in or not?